What's up, everybody? Spaz here. Welcome to my channel, Arrow Key Gaming TV, and welcome to episode 2 of your builds in Payday 2. This build was sent to me by the Archangel, that is his gamer tag on Xbox. And as soon as he sent this build, I got pretty excited because it is something that I had thought about but never really put the time into seeing if it would work. So this build is a mix between an Enforcer and a Ghost. Now, the basis of this build, with that, keeping that in mind that it is between Enforcer and Ghost, the basis of this build kind of revolved around a Silenced Locomotive. And he had asked me, do you know if Silent Killer will stack with Overkill? And I did some testing, and it looks like it did. So his biggest concern was, well, if we silence a locomotive, is it still going to be effective as an Enforcer if things go south as a Ghost? And so I did quite a few tests, and the locomotive, especially after patch 13, is very viable with the silencer. So I will get into that in a second, showing you the specific stats revolving around the shotgun itself, but let's go ahead and take a quick look at this build. We'll start with the Mastermind and Technician. So typically when you have a Ghost build, you want to complement it with Mastermind, and he has done very well in complementing the Ghost side of the build with the correct Mastermind skills. So we obviously have Endurance aced out, and then we have the Essential Cable Guy because we had to spend the points in order to get up in the tiers. And we have Leadership, increasing our stability with pistols, but then we aced it out to increase the stability with all weapons. That increased it by 50%, acing it out. And then we have Dominator, so we can dominate that extra enemy that we aren't able to take out. And then we have the Smooth Talker aced out, so we can answer all of the pages we need when we're stealthing. And then also that 15% damage when you mark a special enemy. As I've said in other videos, it goes a long way. So then let's just take a quick look at the Technician. It's not the important tree in this build. We essentially had to, or he essentially, I say we, I'm sorry out there, Joe is his first name. Sorry for saying we. You obviously had to ace out the Nerves of Steel in order to get our Sharpshooter skill, which is a very important skill for any build. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Ghost tree. So I like how he had organized this, and I made one minor tweak in this build. He said I could do it, and I'll show you where it comes in a second. But I like how he organized his Ghost build. It's not really spamming. It's not really spammed 8 skills everywhere. He put some thought into this. Obviously aced out Sprinter, aced out Fast Hands, two things that I really enjoy in any build. But then he put one basic point in Cat Burglar so that we take 75% less damage from falling. And then the Chameleon skill, he bought the basics so that we have a greater concealment while in casing mode. And then obviously if we are going to Ghost, we need the Cleaner skill, so we aced that out. He aced that out. Why do I keep saying we? It's he. Martial Arts gives us that 50% extra a chance that we will knock somebody out with a melee strike. And then obviously he wanted to ace out Shinobi so that when enemies are shot or melee to death, they make 95% less noise, which is going to be crucial since we're using a locomotive with a silencer. We want to make sure that nobody can hear it. And then really important skill here that he spent some money on, and I actually have 4 points to spend that I forgot to spend. We're good. He aced out Silent Killer. So essentially, you're going to get a 30% damage buff on silenced weapons, a 15% chance to pierce enemy armor with silenced weapons, and then the 4 points that I just spent because I don't know why I forgot to spend them, we increase our stability with silenced weapons by 50%. And then typically what I would usually do if I didn't focus on the silent part of the builds, I would typically put the points into the ECM specialist, but we didn't, or he didn't have the correct amount of points to do so, so he needed to spend them on the most important ECM portion of the skill tree, the ECM Overdrive. Not only do we get the duration increase of 25%, but now we can also use our jammers to open doors, which go a long way in a lot of maps, even if you aren't stealthing. Let's say, for example, the second day of Firestarter, if you have no intentions to stealth it, and we obviously don't have C4, we may not want to bring a saw, so I'm going to bring my ECM so we can get past the second door to get into the server room. Now, here's where the change minor change that I made in his build only because of update 13. He had put 4 points into the Iron Man skill, giving us the improved and combined tactical vest. My beard's sticking to my headphones. But I put that 4 points just on the lockpicking expert. I'm not a fan of the improved combined tactical vest. In update 13, you move too slow. It's just, it's a little wonky. So I put the 4 points into lockpicking expert so that we can pick doors faster. I'm an impatient person, so when I pick doors, I like to be able to pick them a little bit faster. Excuse me. Okay, Enforcer now. This is the second half, the most important part of our build, the second half of it. The Enforcer build. So he put 1 point into Bulletstorm, and I kind of agree with this just because acing out Bulletstorm isn't really viable anymore for me. I don't see the need in it. I used to really like that skill, but I primarily liked it with the Mosconi 12-gauge shotgun, but seeing how the recoil has increased so much throughout all these updates, I don't like Bulletstorm anymore. So we put 1 point into there. You're more than welcome to put it into Oppressor just to get that 25% suppression. I believe that is the suppression, yes. Why do they describe it? I don't know why they describe it. More effective at threatening enemies. I don't know. Anyways, then from there, obviously aced out Transporter. I can't stand builds without that skill, to be honest. I hate walking at the pace of a snail when carrying bags. And then Pumping Iron, melee attacks do more damage. Aced out Underdog so that when we are surrounded, we do more damage and can take more damage. Aced out Die Hard, giving us that faster armor recovery. Aced out Stun Resistance, which is very beneficial for the new flashbangs in the game. I like the new sound on the flashbangs, by the way, in Update 13. Pretty cool, pretty immersive sounds. But the basic of Tough Guy, reducing our camera shake when we are damaged. I like that. And then here we go. Now that we have the Locomotive, and that is going to be one of the primary, if not the primary weapon we use the majority of the time, we needed to, or he needed to spend money into the Shotgun skill. So he aced out Shotgun Impact. Stability increased by 25%, but now we deal 35% more damage with shotguns. Then he had to go with Shotgun Suki B, increasing our reload speed by 50%. Now, he could have spent money into Hardboil, but he was pressed for skills to use the Ghost Tree, so he skipped the Hardboil skill, which is totally fine if we aren't worried about hip firing, which you really don't need to worry about with the shotgun. The spread is just fine, hip firing from certain distances that you don't necessarily need to spin them into this. But he got himself the ammo bags, which is nice because he can use that with the portable saw. And then he spent the basic point into Berserker, which has changed to a stat of below 25% health in order to proc it. But it's still fine in using it with the safety deposit boxes. I still use it. Some people may think it's not necessarily a viable option anymore because of that 25%. It's up to you. It's kind of a risk, really, honestly, if you are stealthing the bank, or not stealthing, but if you are going loud into the bank and you decide to proc Berserker, well, you only have 25% health. You need to keep that in mind when you're moving out of the bank. Hopefully you have a mastermind in the group that'll be able to heal you before you try to move that loot outside. But we also have the portable saw, which I like, and then Overkill, as I said, will stack with Silent Killer, giving us that 75% damage bonus for 5 seconds. So let me go ahead and fast forward to the inventory because I have a special clip of this. Hold on 1 second. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look at the inventory real quick. For as far as primary, I use the Mosconi 12-gauge shotgun only because we have spent points into the shotgun perks, so we might as well equip another shotgun. You're more than welcome to use the Reinfeld or even the Saiga. Whatever you want to use is fine for the primary because we're going to be using the Locomotive the majority of the time, especially when we equip the portable saw in different missions. So the most important thing we need to look at is the secondary, and I'm going to unequip this silencer just to show you because in Update 13 this is really nice, this whole other side of the inventory that describes what you're doing to the total damages, the recoil, the accuracy, things like that. Really nice to have this little overlay here. So we can look at this without the silencer. We're getting a plus 23 damage increase because of the skills that we spend money into those shotgun skills, the Enforcer tree. So his biggest concern was, well, if we add a silencer, is the damage going to be reduced so much that it's not viable even if we increase or even if we have silent killers. So let's look at this. 23 increased damage because of the shotgun skills. But as soon as we put on the silencer, let's go back. We have a minus 17 as far as damage, but we have the silent killer skill being added in on this. So instead of having a plus 23, we have plus 31 minus the 17. Effectively, we're doing 9 less damage than we would without the silencer, which really isn't that big of a deal because of the overkill skill. Now, if we didn't have the overkill skill, this wouldn't really be that great of a weapon to have that if we were to use it all the time, if things go loud. It wouldn't be the best weapon to pick, but it is totally fine, as I'm going to show you in a second with some gameplay tips. But I wanted to show you that that skill is being accounted for in the silent killer, so we are getting a base damage, or a total damage rather, of 79. Could have been 88, but not a big deal. We're using this to go. So let me go ahead and show you some gameplay with this build. Alright guys, let's go ahead and take a look at some gameplay clips here. I apologize that these aren't going to be full rounds using this build. I installed beta drivers for my graphics cards for Battlefield 4 beta. They are beta drivers and they've caused a world of problems for me. It seems as though I can't render videos past about 12 minutes without some sort of issue occurring. Still have a support ticket open with AMD. Hopefully we can resolve this so that future Payday 2 videos can last a little bit longer. But just wanted to show you with these clips, first of all, my main concern with this build was that the locomotive was going to be too loud in order to stealth properly, and it turns out it wasn't. As you see in these clips here, I am using the locomotive inside the building and firing at guards to take them down, and it's not an issue at all. So that was my only concern. Other than that, it's ghosting as normal, minus a few minor changes in Update 13. With Update 13, what I've noticed, you have to be really careful as to where you're walking. Even if you are crouched, even if they are civilians, you get detected a lot further. That is without a suit. If you have armor on, forget trying to ghost certain missions. You need to have a suit. Not saying that it isn't possible to stealth with a certain vest on. I'm just saying it's rather difficult. You need to make sure, if you intend on passing by a civilian, that you give yourself enough room, plus you have certain cover to break the viewing in, if that makes sense. If you have any questions, let me know. I will be doing some more stealthing stuff with the new patch to show you what to look out for. But here we go, and I fired this last round here to get this last guard inside the bank. There were people on the other side of the cubes, didn't hear anything, everything was fine. I was able to solo stealth this bank heist. As usual, nothing really too big to talk about with this build, other than the fact it's really cool. You can have the enforcer aspects with it as well. Obviously, I get into the bank here, get the cash, and get out. Now, the last two clips before I send you guys off, I just wanted to show you that you don't have to worry about a lack of damage with the locomotive being silenced. These last two clips just show you how powerful overkill is regardless of the silencer. But that's it for this video, guys. Sorry it had to be brief. I'm working on some technical issues. Once I get them resolved, I'll be putting out a few more videos with more regularity. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Talk to you later. Kauka.